recording of members present and absent.
Hanson,
Here.
Kane,
Here.
McDermott,
Here.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater. Here.
Open meeting compliance statement.
I, the undersigned clerk of the Board of Education of the Alva Independent School District, number 1 of Woods County, Oklahoma, certify that prior to December 15th of the last calendar year, the date, time, and place of this regular meeting was filed in the office of the county clerk in Woods County, Oklahoma. I also certify that at least 24 hours prior to this meeting, excluding Saturdays, Sundays, and holidays, notice of the date, time, place, and agenda of this meeting was posted in prominent public view at the location of the meeting.
Item number 3, consent agenda. All of the following items which concern reports and items of a routine nature, normally approved by one board vote unless any board member desires to have a separate vote on any or all of these items. The consent agenda consists of the discussion, consideration, and approval of the following. 3.1, addition of items of new business to the agenda.
There are none.
3.2, minutes of the January 11th, 2021 meeting. Approval of the finance report. Approval of the activity fund report. Approval of the activity fundraisers. Approval of the activity fund inter-account transfers. Approval of child nutrition report. And declaring the following items as surplus.
Okay, so we'll go back to 3.2, excuse me, our January 11th, 2021 meeting, and I did not see any errors in our minutes. 3.3, our finance report, you can see that as our first attachment are the investments completed by Mr. Manning, Woods County Treasurer. The second attachment, I have our monthly finance report with our chargeables and then also revenue and expenses. And so just discuss those a little bit. I think there's some, I think we've had a really positive month of January from a collection standpoint. We saw about a $14,000, $15,000 increase in our gross production collection, which was a nice sign. And then as you can see, we've also caught up on a couple of the other areas. Still behind in the 24 mil and still behind in gross production. If we look at our revenue and expenses, just want to, and maybe it's better, we've got the graph here, but I also have just some charts on the final page. And just want to thank our administrators and teachers again. You can see that we are collecting less, about 1.2 million less to date, collection-wise, but we've spent almost close to $1 million less. And so that's a tribute to administrators, to teachers, using what we have and using it wisely. Moving on to our activity fund report. Most of our activity accounts are really holding pretty steady. We don't have the fundraisers, we don't have the activities. Probably the most substantial activity at this point is our homecoming t-shirts. Very thankful and blessed that we get to have a homecoming week and homecoming activities for our students, but that is really the major movement in those activity funds will be the homecoming t-shirt fund. No activity fundraisers this month, and there are no activity inter-account transfers. The child nutrition report, I have the monthly attachment for meals and our students eating. Just want to point out to you again, our numbers are really good. You can see that they've increased the month of January with our lunches and breakfast, and that was through an AB schedule for a couple of weeks. So our kids are really enjoying the cafeteria along with our staff. Just want to say thank you to all of our cooks throughout the district. For School Board Appreciation Month, I was able to deliver some meals to you all. They were excellent. They just do a great job, and thankful for the work that they continue to do. Items of surplus, we have 2 batting cages that were down in the old bus barn that we'll be surplusing and looking to sell both of those. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? If there are none, I would recommend its approval.
Motion?
I move that we accept 3.2 to 3.8 as presented.
Second. Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater. Yes.
Number 4, 4.1 general fund as referenced, 4.2 building fund as referenced, and 4.3 child nutrition fund as referenced.
So we'll start with 4.1, our general fund expenditures. You can see from these expenditures and really just looking at our revenue expense for the past few months, we don't have any purchase orders. And so you can go through here and a couple that I'll point out. 321, the 35,000, that's an open purchase order to get us through the remainder of the year for our water, sewer, and trash with City of Alva. 323 and 329 are repairs to activity buses. We've had some issues throughout this second semester with activity buses and have continued to do some work on those. I believe as of, our games are running together, but I think it was Friday. We had both those running and both teams took those to the Stride Bank Center needed. 324 CDW.G, 2,400 is an upgrade to our Google account. We upgraded our Google account for the remainder of this year, and part of that is to help us with our professional development. We plan to stay in a virtual learning environment with professional development so that we don't have large groups of teachers at any of our meetings through the remainder of the year. And this allows us to have small group breakout rooms and good discussion with our teachers when we have that. And then finally, 328, that is our graduation supplies as we begin preparations for graduation. The payroll general fund, those are all substitute. Payroll, 4.2 building fund. Just a few things out of our building fund. We had some repairs to the boiler here at the high school for $7,000, and then we have a purchase order with Northwest Electric for $7,500. Child Nutrition Fund, open that one up for you. Purchase order number 18 with Vendetti Plumbing. That was to repair hand washing sink. A few years ago, we were required to install hand washing sinks at all sites, and we did that at each site, and we had to perform some repairs to those at Washington. Are there any questions about our general fund, building fund, or child nutrition fund expenses? If there are none, I would recommend their approval.
Okay, motion.
Move to approve 4.1 to 4.3.
Second.
Slater. Yes. Parker,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
And 5, superintendent's report.
Okay, we'll start with our, we have a retirement this month from Eileen Littlefield, and you can see her letter attached. We want to wish Eileen the best of luck. She's done a really good job with our students, has taken a lot of extra time and pride with our student leaders at Lincoln Elementary and also at Longfellow. And so we wish Eileen the best. I have a lot of communication for you this month that I just want to talk to you about and for you to consider. The first attachment you can see is from the School Board Association. It is a facility planning service, and I kind of dovetail that with our discussions about reopening and restarting our strategic planning. Visiting with principals and the K-20 Center, we want to look at beginning our strategic plan and kickstarting that again this spring, involving our stakeholders in some of those action steps that we had prior, because we feel like that there are some good things in that plan, and there's some expectations from our community that we want to adhere to and keep that promise to those folks that were a part of that planning. And so one of the action steps to our strategic plan was to begin looking at our facilities and a capital improvement plan. And so I present this to you for you all to consider as an option, and we can bring this back at a later date. But this is just a service that is provided to look at long-term enrollment, to analyze your facilities and their structures, and work with you getting stakeholder involvement So please read through that. If you have any questions, I would sure be willing to answer those in the coming weeks. Also want to just let you know, legislative session began today. I think they said there were over 400 education bills. And so keep you apprised of those next month and hopefully be able to report to you on the outcome of some of those bills that are passed or considered by our legislators. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Feely. A few weeks ago, a month ago, we had our professional development with our teachers, and I think I mentioned that to you. It was a really great day of work, and it was a $20,000 grant that we received that Mr. Feely wrote for us. And so I wanted him to talk just briefly about what that day or 2 days of professional development entailed. So, Mr. Feely.
Coming out of the summer, every school is trying to figure out how we're going to make up all the time that we lost. And during the COSA conference, there were a lot of presenters that were kind of geared towards that. One that caught my eye was the International Center for Leadership in Education. And so I jumped into that session and watched a presentation about prioritizing standards. And it was really good stuff. And so I began to talk to the presenters, managed to find them on Twitter and get their phone numbers. And so we had some discussions about what it would look like for them to work with our district. And so that began the grant writing process a little bit. And what it amounted to was we wanted to honor the work that our teachers had done on their curriculum maps over the last 4 years. And we wanted to dig deeper into the standards. And so we began this process of prioritizing standards, which essentially means some standards at each grade level are they're enduring standards that you see they build on each year. Some of those standards are supporting standards, and probably we haven't, delineated the difference between the two. So that's what the process was about. So for 4 days, our teachers in math and ELA, I'd say 4 days, 2 days, those teachers worked on looking at the standards at their grade levels, prioritizing the ones that are assessed the most on state testing, and then shifting their content maps to reflect the amount of time they would spend on those standards. What we found out was we got a lot more out of this than we thought. We found out that we entered into the first vertical alignment discussions that we've had in the district for quite some time. And so we had grade levels talking to other grade levels. We aligned them horizontally, we aligned them vertically, and the discussions were really, really good. The presenters were very impressed with the work that we had done up to this point. And that being said, that's really just a stepping stone to what we're really after. And so they'll be back on February 15th to not finish their work, but continue to work on this topic. But what we're really after is we want to change the culture and the understanding of what it means to have rigorous curriculum. Rigorous doesn't mean hard. Rigorous doesn't mean, more compliance, anything like that. It's really about the kind of work that we ask our kids to do, the kind of work that requires them to think and write, and those kinds of things. So they're going to come back on February 15th, and then we'll probably see them come back in the future, because one-time PD is not going to change much of anything. But if we have a sustained effort and sustained discussions about what it means to have rigorous curriculum, then we'll start to see some changes. So we got a lot of good feedback from teachers and good feedback from the presenters as well. One of the things they said about our teachers was that when they went into a session, every teacher had their camera on, every teacher was engaged, and every teacher was a part of the discussion. And they said that's very rare for them to find when they go present. So proud of our staff for that and the work that they did during those 2 days and what's to come.
Finally, I want to are so fortunate in our district to have a nominee for Teacher of the Year. And 12 in the state, and we have one of them. And I believe they released her video, I think it was today, or
Yes.
today they released Mrs. Starbuck's video. And so I just wanted you to watch this video, and it's such a feather in the cap for our district and for Mrs. Starbuck. And so I wanted the board to be able to watch this and celebrate that with us. And Trevor has worked with me on the technology, and I practice, so we're going to see how this goes.
Do you want me to get the lights?
No,
Would that
yes-
help
yes, ma'am.
everybody be able to
That's
see
fine.
it?
Yes, ma'am.
Marion, will that mess you up too much?
There you go.
Much better.
Thank you. I'll turn them back on. You don't have to wait. I'll get them. Thank you.
I teach pre-K first, reading only. Very good. I am a mentor teacher at this school. I have a learning mindset. I'm always promoting TLCs to collaborate and share ideas and grow with each other.
When I was teaching, she was constantly coming into my room to discuss students or ideas. She is a strong communicator.
That is tenacious. When she bites into something, she doesn't let go. S-A-I-D,
She has a natural ability to immerse her learners in realistic, relevant, engaging learning opportunities that lead them to success not only in the classroom, but also in their future careers.
A student that I had in my classroom this year, at first he really struggled with learning. Being in school was not anything he wanted to do. So I thought, I have got to figure out how to tap into his interests and make a connection somehow. We have what we call gotcha.
We're having some major internet problems right now.
Yeah.
Can you send that to us for us to watch?
Yes, I can. We're having some really. I may need to go ask them to stop the basketball game. Okay, let me see if this doesn't work, I'll email it to
And
them.
giving him gotchas just left and right. Everyone in the school just praised him. Then I sent a postcard home to mom and dad saying, he's such a leader. He's doing so well. Please continue to encourage him to be a leader in my classroom. It wasn't long after that. He came in my room. What you want me to do, Miss Starbuck? And he sat down and got to work. He loves being in my classroom now, and he asks if he can come in and be in my classroom. I can't tell you one time this year that he has acted out.
We had a student who was in special education classes with her, and this student didn't have a lot of support at home, and there were many times that she would come to school without her hair brushed. It was important to this little girl to have brushed hair. And countless times I went into that room and Krista was the one brushing her hair and fixing her hair. And as simple as it sounds, that gave that student the courage and confidence she needed to face her academic challenges throughout the day.
She's the epitome of education. I think she has a lot to offer, and this entire state could learn from her. I don't know everything. I'm a piece to the puzzle. We all work together. But I feel like I understand those perspectives from everyone when they face challenges. Just make connections and let them know that you're interested in them and see the good and just talk about the good, and then they really want to be the best student they can be for you.
So just want to, again, thank Mrs. Starbuck for, it's a process to be a part of this. And she's done a great job. She is a great representative for our district. Having worked with her, there's no one better. And just really happy for her. And so I'll email that to you, and we're going to get it on our Facebook and our website also. But just really proud of Krista. And we've got a lot of really great teachers. I think Mr. Feely said it best. we've got a lot of really great teachers who really believe in our kids and have done a great job through a lot of challenges this year. And so, you know, we could have teacher appreciation every day for the work that they've done. I think today was 100 days of school, and quite an accomplishment. And so just really thankful for all of those folks, and especially Mrs. Stark.
Mr. Argo, what's the process now? I mean, when will they cut it down to, from 12 to 5, and then they have a selection during the state fair? I don't know, I'm just asking, I don't know what.
Well, it used
I know.
It used to be around the state fair
I know,
weekend.
but-
Do you all have any idea what Mr. Feely, do you know now when they've decided to announce the winner?
I think it's going to be the spring. They did some interviews, like she had a full day worth of interviews.
Sure.
Here recently, in the last week or so, and she's just waiting to hear back from them. But I was under the impression it was going to be decided this spring.
Okay, I was just curious, thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Items of current business. 6.1, discussion with possible board action. Vote to approve the revised extra duty assignments for fiscal year '21.
With the resignation of Mike Sklar as our track coach, we had to find a coach for our high school students, and Ryan Wilson will be doing that for the remainder of the spring, and that is reflected on this extra duty salary schedule. If there are no questions, I would recommend its approval.
So moved.
Second.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Slater. Yes.
Is there any new business?
No, ma'am.
Signing of documents approved by earlier action. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
Second, thank you.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kane,
Yes.
McDermott,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.